Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome. It is episode number 131 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. I'm your host, Catherine Erdley, as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club. To find out more about my one-to-one services, including mentoring and business audits, please head to resilientretailclub.com, as well as finding out more about the membership. You can find all the details on the website. And also, if you use the code 10podcast, that's 10podcast, you can get £10 off your first month. And it's an exciting year ahead in the Resilient Retail Club. We're looking forward to jumping in next week with our planning session for the whole year, as well as a series of exciting workshops and a brand new course, which I am working on as we speak, which is all about taming your tiger. So it goes alongside my book, which is also coming out the 21st of February. So lots happening in the next few months. So today's episode, I wanted to talk about 2023, and I wanted to talk specifically about being a product business owner in 2023. And this is really coming off the back of the 5-day challenge that I ran last week. So last week we had Plan Your Sales, which is a free 5-day challenge that I run every year. It was the 4th year I'd run it. It's always a real highlight of the year. It's such high energy. So many people really getting to grips with planning their year ahead and really positive and well received. Just such a great energy that comes out of it. And one of the things that we do during this 5-day challenge is that every night I go live at 8:30 and we have a bit of an extended Ask Me Anything session. People pose me questions. We talk about how things are going, what's been going on for everybody, how Christmas was, what their feelings are about the year ahead. And it's just a really great way to have lots of conversations with lots of product business owners and get a real feel for how everyone's doing. What I sort of took away from the discussions that we've been having, or some of the things that I found myself saying, that's what I used today as the basis of the podcast episode, was kind of a bit of a summary of some of the discussions that we've had. Because, of course, one of the big questions that everybody had when it came to setting their sales goal for 2023 is, well, how cautious should I be? What is going to happen? And of course, nobody has a crystal ball. We can't see what is ahead. We can't see what's going to be happening in the future. But I do think that there are key traits that product business owners need to have in 2023 in order to get through. So that's why today's episode is called 5 Essential Traits that Product Business Owners Need to Have to Thrive in 2023. So the first trait that I think is really important for you to cultivate as a product business owner is curiosity. So curiosity, it's a really interesting one. It's maybe not the first thing that you might think about when it comes to mind when it comes to your business. But I think curiosity is a very underrated trait. And it's very important, particularly for people with product businesses, because it just means a mindset shift between suddenly everything feels like it's life and death. And things feel a little bit easier and a little bit more experimental. And ultimately, with product businesses, one of the things that makes them exciting but also terrifying is that it's often very hard to predict exactly how your customers will react until they've actually got the products in front of them. And this is something that I've seen time and time again throughout my entire career in retail, my now 23 years in the retail industry. And I think what's so interesting about it is that there has been a huge amount of work done since I started in the year 2000, where we were faxing orders to people and writing things down on big ledgers and all the way up to a lot of the forecasting technology that's out there, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of those things. that are all designed to then predict exactly how things are going to sell. And the truth is that, yes, of course, the forecasting technology has improved. There are definitely models that you can run, but there's still this element of there's just too many different variables when it comes to products to know exactly what's going to take a customer's fancy at a particular time. So curiosity is a really important trait to have, because if you want to be dealing in absolutes, like this is going to sell, this is going to happen, then you are going to find it really hard running a product business in general, probably running a business in general, to be honest. Whereas if you think about it, the different energy between saying, oh my goodness, what if I put this product out there and everyone hates it, versus a type of curious approach where you say, I wonder what would happen. I wonder what would happen if I put this product in front of my customers. I wonder what would happen if I tried this website or if I tried this different approach to selling. I wonder what would happen if I approached this person. And some of it is about not trying to map things through all the way to the end. So personally, in my own business, I've found that extraordinary things have happened that I could never have foreseen, but they were a result of me taking action and moving towards something. So, for example, working as a Forbes contributor came out of a series of events that I won't go into now, but none of them were related. I couldn't have looked at them and said, oh, if I volunteer to moderate this panel, I'll end up writing for Forbes one day. But I just had that sort of openness and curiosity to see what would happen. So I think that it's something that's going to really help. If you feel really nervous about things, try asking yourself, what if? Or sometimes, wouldn't it be fun if? That's sometimes what I try and do, because certainly myself personally, I'm very much a planner. Obviously, it's what I talk about a lot. But even so, sometimes the plans can feel heavy and tough. And if you don't know, there's a big degree of uncertainty. If you just flip it around from saying, I must do this, to wouldn't it be fun if this happened, and then staying curious as to the results, then I think that is a really, really useful trait that will help get us through 2023. And I also think as well that curiosity is important, because I think you are going to have to try new things. We're all going to have to try new things. We're going to have to try new approaches. We're going to have to try new sales channels, new ways of talking to customers, new product types, all these different things that we're going to have to try to see what will keep moving forward. And ultimately having that curiosity and just wanting to explore and figure out what happens, as opposed to it feeling really heavy and restrictive, that will really help us. So the second trait that I think we all need to have, I'm including myself in this because I think it goes beyond just product business owners, but also all business owners, and that is optimism. And the reason I say that is that it is very easy to fall into that black and white thinking. Lots of people have talked to me about this, or people have just said, oh, well, nobody's buying anymore, for example. That's probably the most common one that I hear. Nobody's buying anything. Well, it's simply not true. There is money out there. People are buying. It's not to ignore all of the challenges that are ahead of us, but it is important to remain optimistic, because if you don't remain optimistic, then you simply won't take the actions that you need, and then it all becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. One of my favorite sayings is the saying that whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And that's a quote from Henry Ford. And essentially what it's saying is if you decide right now that nobody's buying anything and there's no point you doing things, then you won't take the actions that you need to take, and therefore people won't buy things. So I think optimism is important. I think that you need to believe in the fact that you as a business can improve, can do better this year than last year, that you can try new things, that you can find new customers, because very few people, I'm willing to bet, listening to this podcast are of the size where they're, 100, 200, 300 million pound business that has fully optimized every single element of their logistics, their product selection, their customer service, their marketing, their sales channels. It's very rare to meet a brand that a business, and a small business, or a small medium business even, that could really hand on heart say they've fully optimized everything they can optimize in their business. So if you've still got work to do in your business, there's still things you could do better. What's to say that you couldn't do better this year and grow your market share effectively, get more customers that way. There are many, many different ways that people can grow during a recession. And so I think optimism is really important because it helps you keep moving forward. It helps you keep believing in what you're doing, and it helps keep those actions coming, which is really ultimately one of the key things that's going to make a difference for your business. And the other thing as well is that whenever you look at a survey about sentiment towards small business, people genuinely want to support small businesses. So there's lots of reasons to be optimistic. And I think that you have to recognize as well that more and more people care about where the products that they buy come from. They care about how they're made, about how the people who made them were treated. There's a growing recognition of things like B Corp, which is businesses that are fundamentally set out to do good, to put people and planet above profit, to look at that triple bottom line. So there's a huge amount of movement towards small businesses, and also just naturally, the more people who run small businesses, the more people understand the support that small businesses need and want to support them. So there's all that to play for as well. So lots and lots of reasons from that perspective to be optimistic, but you almost have to cultivate that optimism because it is hard when people talk about things like they're an absolute fact. When everyone says, oh, well, business is really dreadful this year, or it's going to be dreadful, curate who you listen to, curate how much time you spend with people who are feeling negative. And again, this is not about toxic positivity. This isn't about saying that it's not right that people feel nervous. Of course, people feel nervous. People are in all kinds of difficult situations, which will make them feel nervous and unsure about the year ahead. But all I'm saying is that as a business owner, optimism is really important, because if you don't believe that you've got a chance this year, that if you don't believe that you can grow, then the chances of you taking the actions to actually make that happen are absolutely almost non-existent. So manage your own optimism and look to develop it as a trait. Okay, the third trait for product businesses to thrive in 2023 is an obsession with the customer. So I talk about this a lot, but I think that really ultimately, I was having this conversation with somebody working on a business audit for them. And we were talking about what lies ahead, because of course that's a big part of it. When we do a business audit, we look back at the year prior and then we look forward to the year ahead. And of course, everyone's question is about, how bullish should I be? And ultimately, it's about what your customer wants. Be optimistic, believe that you can serve your customer even better than you did last year. And I think that very few businesses are able to cost cut themselves into flourishing, if that makes sense. Of course, you've got to manage your expenses, and I'll talk about that a lot more later. But what I'm saying is that there's two sort of mindsets. One can be batten down the hatches, pull back on expenditure, pull back on everything, and just try and hold the course. And I've worked in big businesses. I've worked in £100 million businesses like that. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't go great. And then there's also another mindset, which is, okay, what does my customer want? How do I just obsess about that and really focus in on what they're looking for and really tailor my messaging and my products to what they want? And can I offer them something new and different? Newness, novelty, products that are exactly what they want. That is what stimulates buying at the end of the day, even at a time when people don't have as much money to spend. They want new fun stuff. So if they're spending less money, if you think about it this way, are they going to buy stuff they've seen before a million times, or are they going to buy something different and interesting? Now, this is not the same as saying that you just need to bring in loads and loads of new stock. Obviously, that is not what I'm trying to say. But I guess this sort of trait, this focusing on the customer, it also can help you get out of your own head as well. Like if you look at this idea, which I really like, about selling as service. So if you can help your customer, what do they need this year? What do they want to see from you? And really just keep spending some time with that question. If nothing else, trying to get inspired, going to different places, getting inspiration, different ways of coming up with ideas of products for your business, but just really tuning into what your customer wants and just really making it as good as it can be. And that will help you. I honestly think that a business that knows their customer inside and out and is continuing to offer them consistently great products that they absolutely love, I think that you've got nothing to fear. Of course, customers will have less money to spend, but as I said, you'll attract new customers as well. Very few of us listening are so big that we couldn't grow our market share. So think about it that way, and think about the more you focus in on your customer, the more you offer them exactly what they want, then the better the year will be for you. And if you don't know what they want, then go talk to them. Go have a chat, bribe somebody with coffee and a cake and say, can I pick your brains for a few minutes? And just keep tuning into what they want, tuning into what you're seeing that's exciting and different. What would make you buy right now? What would actually entice you to spend some of your hard-earned money at a time when you don't have loads of it milling around? And think about those kind of products and think about how you can be offering those to your customers. Point number 4, the traits that I think all businesses, including product businesses, but all businesses really need to have in 2023 is flexibility. So by flexibility, I mean, this is really about the ability to be nimble. And the ability to be nimble really is about controlling your costs. So as much as I said, it's not just about cutting costs in order to survive. You may have to examine your costs, but it's not going to be enough by itself. It's part of a whole approach that will work during difficult times. What does flexibility mean? Flexibility means not overstretching yourself, not overcommitting yourself, being aware of things like your break-even analysis. So that is looking at the different costs that you have in a month and how many sales you'd have to take to cover them. And it's being aware, probably the most important thing for a product business is being aware of your stock. So if you're somebody who makes to order or has very little stock, then this is going to be less of a concern for you. But for everybody else, and actually, to be honest, even if you make to order, how much stock are you sitting on? This is not the time to be carrying around excess stock. So this is the time to be really thinking about how do you move through your stock? How do you liquidate anything that is old, that is holding you back, and that is clogging up your business? And we talked about this a little bit last week when we were talking about doing a final push on your January clearance sale. But I think going forward, it's a really important thing to be thinking about as well throughout the whole year. This is the year that you really need to get a handle on how to manage your stock. So you need to understand the relationship between your sales forecast and your stock plan. You need to be able to understand the difference between your productive and your unproductive stock. And you need to really hone in on where you might be sitting on trapped cash in your business, where if you're not feeling very flush for cash, is there money stuck somewhere? Are there sales that you could be making from stock that is not moving? And you need to identify what that is and have a look at how to clear it through. And targeted promotions, not blanket promotions. I'm saying this just because I've had an absolute flurry in January of people saying, it's our Boxing Day sale or it's our January sale and it's 30% off everything. And I've said this before, but really that's not helping you manage your slowest stock. That is helping you potentially have somebody buy some of your best sellers at 30% off. Now, obviously, again, if you do a blanket discount once or twice a year, then absolutely go for it. If January is one of the times that you do it, then go for it. But just overusing this as a tactic is not going to be smart in 2023. You really need to focus in on how do you clear out that unproductive stock. If you're not sure of the difference between your unproductive and your productive stock, if you're not sure how to make a stock plan, guess what? It's all in my new book, Tame Your Tiger, How to Stop Your Product Business Eating You Alive, which is coming out in February. In fact, if you head over to bookshop.org, then you can actually, apparently they are already shipping out the pre-orders. So if you want to get your hands on it, you can do. But really, I think this year it's about being savvy, it's about being tuned in, and it's about giving yourself that flexibility by not being at your max capacity, financially speaking. And yes, if you come up with a sales forecast and you want to stock to it, well, would be a year that I was a little bit like, I wouldn't be super gung-ho. You need to be optimistic. You need to believe that you can do it. But equally speaking, you need to give yourself a little bit of breathing room so you don't get yourself into a sticky situation financially. When I worked in big retailers, we would always have effectively 3 forecasts or 3 plans on the go that we would do different. And we would look at from time to time. The first one might be the real realistic one, that based on everything that we've done, all our analysis, this is what we really thought we were going for. Then there was one which was our kind of worst case scenario, so what we thought it could be in a real slump, basically. And that was used to check things like, could we cover the costs and what would we do? And then a stretch one, the one that we wanted to hit, the one that we would like to aim for. So we kind of always had these three scenarios. And I think that this is the year for you as a product business to have those kind of different scenarios, to have an idea of this is what it could be. This is what I think it realistically might be based on everything. So for example, in the 5-day challenge last week, we were talking about things like your run rate and your history and amending your sales plan according to that. But then also looking at maybe if I've got a realistic plan, maybe I won't buy all the stock that I need to do that realistic plan. I will hold a bit of space back so that I can react, or if I see something exciting and I want to bring it in quickly, I can. So you're kind of giving yourself, as I said, that breathing space so that you're not absolutely maxed out. So you've got a bit of flexibility, a bit of nimbleness, as it were. And the same goes for overcommitting to things like rent and staffing. Yes, of course, you want to expand if you need more space and all the rest of it, but just doing it in a very mindful way, looking at running things like your break-even analysis and then being able to model out, okay, if I bring this person in, how many more sales would I need to make? The other great thing about a break-even analysis is that it really helps underline the importance of things like your profit margins, which also the better your profit margins are, the more flexibility that you'll have as a business owner as well. So there's lots of reasons really this year, almost more than any year, to be on top of your numbers, to be aware of what they are, and to be able to really understand how to work the different elements of your business, your profit margins, your stock, your fixed costs, and to give yourself a little bit of breathing space. So yes, go for an optimistic sales plan for sure, but just know that if it doesn't all pan out like that, you're not going to be in a difficult position financially. And once you get to the place where you're able to do that, I think it's really, really powerful as a business owner. I think it gives you so much more confidence, and it really helps you feel less like you're not in control and more like, okay, I really understand where I'm at with the business and what I need to do to move forward. And then the final trait, I had to put this one in. The final trait for this year is resilience. So, of course, that's the name of the business, Resilient Retail Club, Resilient Retail Game Plan. But I think resilience has been important for the last few years. Perhaps it's always important in business. But I think it really ties a lot of the different traits together. You need to be optimistic. You need to be curious. You need to be focused on your customer and flexible, and all of those together will help you be more resilient, because there will be times when you launch a new product and it doesn't work. There will be times that you put time and effort into getting onto another platform and then you hit a dead end or you have some issue. And all of those things are extremely testing, extremely trying. You all know, having been through Christmas, how it can be really challenging if you've got lots of customer service issues, for example. So if you are curious, so you're really thinking about the ways that you can try again or try new things. If you're optimistic, believe that there is a solution out there. If you keep your focus on the customer, so you're not in a way in your own head so much, you're projecting outwards and looking at how to help other people. And if you've done your due diligence and you know what your numbers are in your financial position, then all of those things together will help you be more resilient, because you'll be able to roll with the punches, for want of a better word, and to really be able to navigate the ups and downs and keep yourself going. Because it will be, I'm not saying that, you can just decide that it's all going to be super easy. I think that there will be challenges, but I think that it's just one of the hardest things about running businesses. You have to recognize that your own actions are probably one of the biggest drivers for either success or a tricky year. So as business owners, we have to think about the way that we need to be in order to give our businesses the best chance of success. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have a moment to like and review it on iTunes, that would be fantastic. I read all of the reviews personally. They absolutely mean the world to me. So thank you so much. If you're listening on Spotify, then you can rate the podcast in the app. If you know someone who'd enjoy it, then please pass it on. Come over to Instagram, share a photo of where you're listening. I always love to see where people are when they're tuning in. Of course, if you like or subscribe the podcast or follow it on Spotify, then you'll be the first to know about every new episode. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.